Are LIV players in or out of Ryder Cup? That is the question. But you know who's going to be there? Jon Rahm, and he wants some answers this time. He's urging the U.S. and European Ryder Cup teams to decide together whether to allow the LIV Rebels to compete, even though he acknowledges that by not allowing them, great young players may turn up in Rome. So what's it gonna be? Find out all that and more ahead. Starting with Jon Rahm's dilemma. The American and European teams will need to make some decisions about the Ryder Cup in September, particularly in regard to LIV golf participants attending the events. Rahm has asked that the U.S. and European Ryder Cup teams decide together whether to allow LIV golfers to compete in the game in Rome this fall or not. The situation on the American side has already been decided that no PGA Tour defectors will be eligible, but it's still unclear how things stand in Europe. The court case is scheduled for next month, which puts a number of LIV recruits, including Cup hero Ian Poulter, against the DP World Tour over their ability to compete on European soil. Some folks will have to make difficult decisions, right? We believe there's going to be a joint decision from the PGA of America and the European Tour. It wouldn't be a good idea to let LIV players on some teams and not on others. Also, Rahm believes that if they decide against allowing them, a lot of outstanding young players will have the chance to show up and compete in Europe because, well, there'll be more opportunities to showcase fresh new talent. If you remember, he'd already expressed his opinion that LIV stars should be included in the Cup, but now he wants to prevent a scenario where the two teams take different approaches, regardless of the decision's outcome. Now, why is this such an issue? You might be thinking about what the confusion is about allowing or not allowing players into the 2023 Ryder Cup. What this implies for players outside of these two leagues has been a topic of significant discussion. For instance, the Masters recently declared that any LIV player who qualified for its 2023 event would be allowed to participate in the competition. Even though this appears unimportant, it was viewed as major news because of how wild the previous year was. The PGA Tour, which is a totally distinct entity from the PGA of America, forbade all golfers from competing in the President's Cup in September. It's interesting to note that international captain Trevor Immelman questioned why Louis Oosthuizen couldn't participate, given that he'd resigned from the PGA Tour and that an international President's Cup player isn't required to be a member of the PGA Tour in order to compete in the President's Cup. Apparently, the response to that was that Oosthuizen had broken PGA Tour rules while still a member. Moving on, will LIV players make it? Honestly, who knows? Men's golf may currently be in the midst of a full-fledged civil war, but if there's one thing that everyone can agree on, it's that the players on both sides seem to believe it'll end soon enough. Rory McIlroy stated that it's up to the powers that be to attempt to reach some sort of strategy moving ahead. Many players have said something similar to this, so we really don't know what to think. They respond with an answer that holds out a glimmer of hope, but then we're months away from the Ryder's Cup still without answers. Just when a resolution might genuinely take hold is something that nobody can agree on. When precisely will a new choice be made? When will the 54-hole LIV competition's eligibility for world ranking points be decided by the official World Golfing Rankings? When, if ever, will major tournaments alter their qualification requirements? So, which team will be affected more by all of this is a good question. Only Paul Casey, one of the top 12 players on the European side, plays in the LIV, though Sergio Garcia and Lee Westwood are nearly there. There are no other Americans in the top 20, and only Dustin Johnson is among the top 12. Compared to the PGA of America, the European Tour is in a worse situation, so the final choice will probably be determined by what the European side wants. An about-face over the Ryder Cup after attempting to prevent players from competing on its tour would seem dishonest. No? Coming up, is this just a phase? It's true, golf is going through a weird phase. Weird because of the next important decision may not be made by the usual golf powers that be, but rather by a court in the United Kingdom. But we do in fact have some information here. Due to a court-ordered stay of sanctions, the DP World Tour currently needs to create room for LIV golfers who wish to compete in their events and are eligible to do so. If you're sick of this back and forth, it won't stop anytime soon. We won't know the future of LIV players Masters and the DP World Tour until that court hearing in February. We have two possible scenarios. Similar to the PGA Tour, LIV golfers are banned from competing and won't be able to earn world golf ranking points or qualify for the majors. The other scenario would be that the court sympathizes with LIV players and refers to LIV as just another business operating in the competitive professional golf market. Golfers from LIV would then be eligible to collect Ryder Cup qualification points. To see which scenario plays out, guess we'll just have to wait. Next, what can we expect from the Ryder Cup as of now? Look, Rahm wants Garcia to be on the team, and Rahm has a lot of sway on the European side. So this will probably not have a big impact on how the team is assembled. The greatest two players in the world, according to Shane Lowry, are on the European squad, and he's warned the Americans that they must not rely only on them if they hope to continue their extraordinary home Ryder Cup record. Few would contest that Rory McIlroy is the best player in the world. He currently holds the #1 ranking and has had a strong run recently. Despite only being ranked 5th, Jon Rahm has won 3 of his past 4 competitive events, including the Tour of Champions in Hawaii. The Northern Irishman and the Spaniard will undoubtedly receive a lot of Luke Donald's trust as his team attempts to stretch America's losing streak on foreign grounds past the 30-year mark. But Lowry is clear that if they want to win the Cup back after the humiliation in Wisconsin in 2021, their teammates must also step up. When Donald was named captain in August, he was determined to make a mark. 2 years ago, Padraig Harrington made history by becoming the first captain of this century without the benefit of a Ryder Cup dress rehearsal. With 10 players on each side, the Englishman has selected Tommy Fleetwood and Francisco Molinari as the respective captains. Coming up, the Ryder Cup might be missing out. According to Eugenio Chacarra of LIV Golf, the majors and the Ryder Cup without Dustin Johnson won't be the same, and the civil war in golf needs to be settled for the benefit of the game and its followers. Gotta say, we agree with him. After giving up his amateur status, Chacarra made headlines by joining LIV Golf in June 2022. He complimented the Saudi-backed series as being the best fit for him moving forward. With a 5-year exemption into each major following his victory at the 2020 Masters, Dustin Johnson will continue to compete in majors for the foreseeable future. He received an exemption into the majors through 2026 thanks to his victory at the 2016 US Open. But sadly, the Ryder Cup is no longer an option for him, just as it's not for players like Brooke Koepka, Bryson DeChambeau, and Patrick Reed. Whatever happens, this will be one of the more significant dramas in 2023. Our entire attention has been on what the major tournaments would decide regarding LIV golfers, but the Ryder Cup and both organizations that oversee it are also in the same situation. And even though major choices will only have a tiny impact on a small portion of the fields that compete in them, Ryder Cup decisions could have a major impact on the outcome of this year's competition. Up next, who's backing Rahm? Now, we don't care who thinks Rahm had a bad year last year. We've got a golf legend backing him for greatness. Can you guess who? None other than Tiger Woods. Woods believes Jon Rahm will continue to succeed now that he has mastered the art of using his emotions constructively. Rahm won the US Open in 2021, becoming a major champion. In 2022, he enjoyed a successful follow-up season with 3 victories and expressed his hope that his win at the season-ending DP World Tour Championship in November will silence critics of his performance. Due to his failure to compete in the majors and the high standards he set, people claim that it was a terrible year for him. Following the launch of LIV Golf, he has helped the PGA Tour, and Woods has stated that the Spaniard is one of the game's top players. Finally, what's next for Jon Rahm? After a great 2021 season, Rahm was ranked as the best player in the world. The Spaniard discovered his touch on the greens after the PGA Tour got into the swing of the postseason. He's won 3 of his last 14 tournaments, and if he keeps up this level of putting in Europe and wins the DP World Tour Championship, he might win another PGA Tour event soon. Jon will now take a break before 2023, and his season will be focused on the majors, starting with the Masters in April, and he'll also try to help Europe claim the Ryder Cup in Rome in the fall. That's a wrap for this video. Do you think LIV players will be allowed to participate in the Ryder Cup? Let us know in the comments below. Make sure to give this video a thumbs up and subscribe to our channel for more videos videos like this. See you in the next one.